Introducing Instagram teen accounts. A new way to keep your teen safer as they grow. Like making sure they always have their seatbelt on.
All right, sweetie pie, buckle up. Good job.
Or ring the bell on their bike.
Okay, kid, give it a try. Nice.
Or remember their elbow pads.
Knees too, okay? Yep. There you go.
New Instagram teen accounts. Automatic protections for who can contact your teen and the content they can see.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
This is the Weekly Scramble, a place where we chat about life over a cold one or two. It's time to belly up to the pod with Mike Fratelloni and your host, Chris Reavers.
Well. How many said we couldn't make it 10 years, Michael? It's Chris Reavers. It's Mike Fratelloni. It's the official, unofficial 10-year anniversary of the Beer Show and the Weekly Scramble. How are you, sir?
Reavers, thank you for doing this. What a fun 10 years. No one, including you and me, thought we could make it.
I didn't think we'd make 10 episodes.
Yes.
And
I didn't really think we'd
joking.
make 10 minutes because as soon as we started, someone said, well, Brian can't do the show again. You remember that? The genesis from our first show, Brian Alton?
Joe.
Excuse me, Brian,
yeah.
his dad. How quickly I forget.
It's okay.
Joe was doing the show as the guest host, the sidekick, my position, and then someone said, "Well, you can't do that. That's a conflict of interest." So then he had to leave.
Right.
And then so I technically am just 9 years and 51 weeks because my 10th year anniversary will be next week.
Okay.
I wasn't on the first show.
And we
I was
do.
on,
Well,
just
I'm
not
glad
the
you
guy.
mentioned Joe because Joe was the initial partner of the Beer Show, and we still run into him often, whether it's mostly at the state fair. But Joe's a really good dude, so I'm glad you mentioned him.
His dad Brian is a really good guy too.
I don't know Brian, but I'll take your word for it.
He's a very nice guy.
So we made the decision to invite some old friends. We've got our buddy Bartley Bloom from Bent Brewstillery here in studio. Hello,
Yes.
sir.
Hi, I'm officially and unofficially honored to be here.
Good. Very good. And our buddy Ryan from Elevated Beer, Wine, and Spirits is also here. Your partner Tom is shortly en route.
He'll be here soon, but cheers to 10 years, guys.
Thank you. It's cool. I've often said this about broadcasting, and not to get too corny, but I'm a tad bit emotional today. But it is kind of fun that you get to call this a career, right? I get asked all the time, how do you get into it? I'm going to be honest. I got no bleeping idea how I got into this. I applied for an internship, worked my way up, and now I was nice enough that 15 and a half years ago, the Hubbard family said, hey, we might hire this kid. That's fine. So it's cool that you get to do this as a career. And I'm not blind to that fact whatsoever. But to do this in part with you guys over the course of time, it's been a joy. So thank you guys for coming in today.
You're welcome. And I also have a different theory as to how you got into this and why you're still into it. And I think a lot of it has to do with you're psychologically unemployable in any other field.
That's probably pretty accurate, to be honest.
The truth behind it?
If he wants to keep eating, he has to keep doing this.
What if they got rid of me? What the hell would I do for a living?
I don't know.
have no idea.
I do the same thing. People ask me, what do you do? How do you get into this? I was like, well, I'll sell you a brewery if you want.
Right.
That's how you get into it. But it is the difficult thing. It's sometimes you walk backwards into it and it just fits and you stay. And that's when you know it's right, is when you stay in that business for that long. So cheers to you for being in it for that long.
Let's get an update then. I know I often get asked about both of you guys, just based on things that have happened since, everything, the world changed back in early of 2020. So let's start with you, Bartley. How is Bent Brewstillery doing?
We're doing great. We're since BC, our levels are going back up again after the big fall. I don't know if you call it the big fall.
COVID fall is what
right,
you're
the
saying.
BC, the DC, and now I guess we're PC, even though we're not very PC. We don't measure time anymore by the life and death of our Lord Jesus Christ. We measure time by Corona, before Corona, BC, during Corona, DC, and after, maybe it's AC. So
Or
or DC,
post-Corona.
AC, post-Corona. But things are going really well. I mean, people are already back out. I mean, right away, the first day, people were already starting to come back out, and now things are just building. And we're getting more and more people. There's still a lot that we haven't seen again. They just hoveled in and have not come back out to see the light yet, and that's fine. You know, you do you, but things are going great. Things are going really good at the brewery. We've got a lot of great events. We just had a huge car show last weekend.
Cool.
Bent before the 50s. Hopefully they don't get upset about us ripping on their name, but it was a bunch of MSRA guys and all that. They wanted to do something the weekend before, so we threw a big shindig for them.
Cool.
So turned out great.
Well, and I had you and Michael were talking about this as I had to go get Ryan down in the waiting room, as we'll call it. But I do have a theory on that about you saying that people haven't come back in full yet. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if part of it is, and I'm just looking at my own personal existence where I've got now 2 boys playing travel baseball. The fact that last night was one of the first nights in weeks that we did not have something, and I couldn't tell you how much I was just looking forward to going home. But also, this just in, budgets are tight right now with basically everybody. So I'm wondering if you guys are noticing that, all 3 of you guys are noticing that as people involved in the business game. So I don't know. You guys take it in any direction you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, for us, inflation has been crazy.
Sure.
A lot of money printing happened, DC. That's what we're calling it. And so we've seen that while people are being a little bit, more discretionary with what they're buying, I would say that they're still spending.
Sure. And remind everybody, you own and run liquor stores.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So co-owner with Tom, who again will be here shortly, of Elevated Beer, Wine and Spirits. We have a location in South Minneapolis as well as White Bear Lake, downtown White Bear.
So did you have to shut down during COVID?
No, it was a little different for us, as you may have heard.
Yeah.
So we, I'd love to say it was perfect. I think a lot of people think that it was just this fantastic time for off-sale liquor because we were doing a lot of sales.
You did have those pesky riots to deal with.
We did have some riots, and our Minneapolis store was highly affected by that. It was pretty brutal in terms of the amount of looting that we sustained. But even outside of that, just when you can stay open during global pandemic, it turns out that employees are still very hesitant to come in.
Yeah, sure.
And so
they think they're going to die.
And there's a lot of anxiety around that.
You didn't know. Right?
Exactly.
You didn't know if you were going to die.
Right. So it wasn't a cakewalk, but we did, I guess financially well. We did really well because we were positioned to facilitate a high volume of delivery at that time. I know that listeners of the show probably remember us promoting our delivery even before COVID. We were ready to go, and we scaled very quickly. We went from doing, a dozen orders a week to we topped out around 1,000 orders in 1 week.
Holy crap.
And that was literally overnight. I'm not kidding. But we didn't drive these orders ourselves. We had integrated Uber and DoorDash into our web store. So it was a seamless integration. So we did well. I'm not going to deny that. But what we've been doing now is making a point to kind of zig when others are zagging, and we're going with some really aggressive sales now, kind of inflation busters, so to say. So I think that people are looking for that. To answer your question, they're looking for deals. They want to make sure that they're getting the most for the dollar, and I don't blame them.
Yeah, I think the world since COVID, right? And this is not a COVID conversation solely, but people have just done things different. Barley, remember when we'd be at your place late at night and people would be there drinking?
Yeah.
And now I'll go to a bar and it's empty at 9:30 at night.
Yeah.
And you're like, what is going on? Where is everybody?
We're still open till 11, but it usually clears out by 10.
It clears out by 10.
Yeah.
And that was never the case pre-COVID.
It was always people were there while we're sweeping and mopping.
Sure. And you're trying to get them out the door.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? I mean, do you think people just understood that home is comfortable? Or I just can't quite figure it out. I don't know what it is.
Probably a lot of that, and probably a lot of safety. I mean, no matter where you go, there's a carjacking happening. They're happening at Rosedale Mall, which has always been generally regarded as pretty safe.
Sure.
And now that's happening there too. Well, one happened, and now they've installed readers for your license plate.
Oh,
so
really? Okay.
everyone who goes in there, their license plate is red and gone through and run through BCI.
You know what would be really cool is if every time my wife pulled in there, I'd get an alert on my phone.
So you can cancel the credit cards and freeze everything. Yeah, exactly. So there's a little bit of both, I think. It's making people earlier.
This might be anecdotal too, for me at least, but maybe you guys have seen this. I think there's a certain amount of fatigue with alcohol right now too. I think people are just being
agree more.
A little bit more measured with their intake since the pandemic. Everyone kind of overdid it. We saw it in our numbers, and now we're just seeing people pivot to, for one, just lower ABV beers. We see a ton of that,
or non-alcoholic,
That's huge, or THC drinks, which I think we'll talk a little bit about later. But people are just looking for something different, and I think toning it down a little bit because it was a couple years of indulgence, I guess.
If we go back the 10 years and we look at the trends that we saw in the beer, first of all, when we started and they said, oh, you do a show about beer, and it's like, yeah, because every day we can have a brand new brewery on. Once a week we can have a brand new brewery on. You guys were, Tom and Ryan were bringing them in because they had the liquor store business, and Bartley, of course, was our resident brewer, right? So we would just talk to someone new every week, and it would be a double IPA, a double Bock, a hazy IPA. I mean, these trends were just nonstop. And I think, because I'm a little older than you guys, I experienced that, man, I can't drink these things anymore. I can't have a 600-calorie beer 5 times a night. That's like just too much for me. I just can't do it. I'm just literally filled. So I was begging for those ultra low ABV beers. Plus, I like to keep my head about me, right? I was begging for them 6-7 years ago, but it took forever to get there. And I wonder if it's just like, Ryan, you see a lot of stuff that's coming into the market. Are there brand new breweries that are starting today that you're giving any shelf space to? Because you used to be the king of that, right? So everybody had a chance to get their beer on your shelves.
We still do. Okay. We still do. We give anyone a shot. And, there's a lot of breweries that haven't really stayed up with the trends or maybe are not making the same quality beer that they used to do. That happens, right? Sure. I mean, brewers move on. They go to different breweries, and sometimes they go to new breweries. And, of course, we want to, follow the quality beer. So we'll absolutely bring new people in. The haze craze that you referred to, that's still alive. It's just not what it was. And for the reasons you said.
Probably because Reavers started to drink seltzer instead of hazy IPAs.
Yes, the bottom fell out once Reavers transitioned. But no, it's just, we want to give everyone a fair shot to, especially when their beer is good, to get on our shelves. So, if you own a brewery and you're not at Elevated, reach out to us. We're happy to sample or, at least, give it a stab.
Do you have someone new that we don't know about?
We've got a lot of new stuff, but one I'll point out in particular is kind of an oldie that's now on our shelves, and I brought their beer here today, and that's Dangerous Man.
Nice.
In cans, right? So
that's right. Well, how long have they been distributing?
I want to say a couple months now. So, and I know Rob had sworn that he would never.
Yeah, that was his
Rob
big
and Sarah,
thing.
they said they would go, tap room only. But after the pandemic, I think even they thought, hey, maybe having, some reach outside of the tap room was probably a good thing. They make incredible beer, but even this, right? I brought Danger Light. It's it's another 4.2% light lager, which a lot of people are going to.
Everybody that said they'd never in those last 10 years,
yes,
has done everything that, we'll never make a seltzer. It's like, well, watch, 50% of your business is going to be seltzer.
Right.
I mean, Bartley, that had to have happened to you, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although
I never said I never would.
You were smart enough to say, hey, wait.
No.
What do you mean 2 people asked for a seltzer? Let's make a seltzer.
You're looking at the one guy that would never say, I will never.
No, he said,
if there's anything I would never
that.
do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. You can record this. We will never make a pumpkin spice beer.
That I know you will not do.
We will not do
sounds
that.
Delicious.
And you're welcome, Ryan. All liquor stores, they thank us for that because they've got so many of them already.
Bartley, let me do one quick thing really quick. I'm going to pull a first. Are you guys ready? I am going to do a first here where I'm going to leave the room. And because you three have a lot to catch up on, and because I'm going to go get Tom right now. It'll just take a minute or two. But I want to now leave the room because the one time I let Mike host the show, it was a complete and utter disaster.
That's true.
I think I co-hosted that one.
Yeah, that was a scary one.
So continue your thought, and I'll be right back.
That was even worse.
And just for those of you that maybe are unfamiliar with the way that we used to do the show, Bartley over here, our good friend Bartley, is the only person in the history of AM 1500's beer show that I had to dump because he dropped the F-bomb. So you don't, even though we're a podcast, please don't swear.
I've been drinking quite a bit at that time. And,
to give the visual, so we were on AM 1500, right, on a radio station, terrestrial radio, and I remember wondering, everything was timed out. There was no let's pause, let's rewind and do that. People would say, oh, where do you record that? I'm like, we don't record that. That is a live show. We are doing it right now. And it was so different. I think the feeling for me doing AM radio was electric because it was so nerve-wracking, right? Podcast seems a little different. If you really said something ignorant, you could stop, right? Although I'm going to say this, in the history of Reavers and I doing the weekly Scramble podcast that morphed from 1500 the beer show become the Weekly Scramble, I don't think one time we've ever paused and we've never edited a show. We just do it. We're lucky enough not to swear. I do have a segment that my wife loves. It's a segment called Mike Makes His Wife Mad Again segment, which is good because I'll always tell a story and she says all I do is lie about her. I think she's gaslighting me because I think she's trying to tell me that I'm the problem and she might be the problem. See, this is another segment of me making my wife mad.
Well, there you go.
I'm very good
even
at it.
unintentionally.
Yeah.
Yes.
What did you pour us, Bartley?
Well, the first one I poured actually is, again, kind of along that same line of lighter beers. This is a premium Czech style Pils. So it's a nice Czech lager, 5% ABV. It was, again, a lighter beer, easy to drink. Now, the second one, this one looks like orange juice. That's Nerds.
It tastes like Nerds.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It's tastes like sour candy.
It's really good.
So
Please
this
tell
is
me
another one
it's
that's
low
awesome.
calorie and
Oh, sure.
ABV.
0 calories, zero
Okay,
gluten, zero everything.
really
It's also
good.
dolphin safe.
Oh, good. Dolphin friendly. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So no whales were harmed in the making of this either.
So can I come? I can buy that at obviously your tap room in Roseville.
Yep.
But can I get that off the shelf anywhere?
Yes, we have hundreds of liquor stores and bars that we have around the metro, as well as all the way up to Duluth, Mankato, close to St. Cloud, all over the place. Right now, it's probably on tap at First Draft in Minneapolis.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, but these things go in and out so fast.
See, that's what's
it's hard
unique
to keep
about
up
you.
with.
Is everybody will have Nordic Blonde in their liquor stores, or many people have Nordic Blonde. I assume Ryan, you do. But you make so many. I'm not going to say one-off beers, but beers that are kind of in and out.
Yeah,
right?
they are.
Yeah,
that is actually the right word. They are one-off beers. We make it once, and then it's never made again.
Okay.
And we've got a whole line of these things that they just come and go. We name it whatever we think is kind of funny and catchy because we're kind of smart asses about what we do.
When was the last one-off that became in regular rotation? What was the last one?
Well, never.
Never. Okay,
No.
never.
It's actually been the opposite way.
Your
We've had
your
some
Maroon and
ones.
Bold wasn't a one-off.
That was seasonal.
Okay.
And then now that's gone away.
Okay.
We had Gigalupin. That was a triple IPA. Super delicious. Great beer. Everyone loved it, but everyone had it before.
Okay.
So it got to where we don't do it anymore. It's simple as that. If no one's going to buy it, we're not going to sell it.
So nothing started on fire.
No.
Everything seemed to have worked okay. Bartley didn't swear.
No.
So,
Well, I think he might have actually. But not any word that really mattered.
Yes, it wasn't a bad one.
But I went to go get our buddy Tom from Elevated, Ryan's business partner there at Elevated Beer, Wine, and Spirits. How are you with your sunglasses on, sir?
Oh my gosh, I'm doing really good today. It's another beautiful day in Minnesota.
Nice. Well, we were just kind of getting basically a status update on how everybody's doing, but pre-COVID, post-COVID, during COVID, now that we've kind of seen the light. So I've asked Michael this question, and this might be a bit loaded for you guys, but I don't care. I've asked Michael this question these last few years that we've been doing the show because I'm worried about my city, right? We're not going to skirt around this issue. The city has issues, and we all know that. Do we ever see it coming back to, let's say, 2019? The city itself in general? And I know it's a loaded question, but I'm genuinely curious to get your guys' perspective on this. And any one of you can take it any way you want. Mike, you're even allowed to chime in here because I pretty much know your opinion.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was nice of you.
I would jump in and say, I hope so. Right.
Me too. Absolutely.
I don't
me too.
know. I don't control that. I wish I had, more to do with.
But if anybody has a vested interest, it's the four of you. Sitting in this room. You guys are the definition of the backbone of this city.
Yeah.
Great, committed, local small business owners.
And we love South Minneapolis. And,
I know you do. Yeah, exactly.
Our part of South Minneapolis so far has been pretty good. I can say, we had the looting that we referred to earlier in summer of 2020. We've not had a break-in since, I want to say, summer of 2021. So it's been a couple of years, knock on wood. That said, we also have bars all over our windows now, so that might have something to do with it. But generally speaking, I don't feel like we've seen a crime surge in our part of South Minneapolis. So that's good. But that said, we are looking to expand, and we actually we can't talk about specifics, but we're opening up another store.
Nice.
And I would say part of that is just to try to get some difference in geographic location, right? Because we need to spread out a little bit. For us to have most of our eggs in South Minneapolis is just not probably the smartest move anymore. So we want to bring our business and what we do with Elevated to other cities. So third location on the way. Hopefully we can come back and talk about that.
That'd be
more
awesome.
Once we have a signed lease.
You guys all know you always have an open invitation.
But yeah, we're doing what we can as businessmen to just sort of insulate ourselves from some of the issues that the city has brought on.
Okay.
I know the Fratelloni's has only been broken into twice in Uptown and on Lake Street, right, recently. And both times when I was there in the middle of the night, because I get those calls, so I have to go in the middle of the night, and I go to our camera system. And let me just see if any of you guys can guess the one item stolen out of our stores by someone breaking in, same guy, 2 different stores, 2 weeks apart. Again, in the middle of the night. He could have done it at 10 o'clock, right? Then I could have been there at 10:15, gone to bed at 1. But instead, it's in the middle of the night. Can anybody guess what he stole and the only thing he stole from us?
Garden hose.
No. Any other guesses?
A Weber grill.
No.
That'd be too. I'm thinking something small that he could put in a pocket.
Yes, you'll never guess, but it's the one and only Pokemon cards.
Wow.
So he would smash through our doors, do thousands of dollars worth of damage to run in and raid our Pokemon card displays and then go out and stand right near our stores because we have them on camera, opening the Pokemon cards as fast as he can, looking for the one card that's worth $3,000.
Wow.
And it is shockingly stupid. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, what are you doing? Like, come on in and just steal them during the day. Don't break our door down. Point to one of our team members and say, "Oh my God, look at that!" And as we're turned around, just pocket all of them, but save the doors and save me from having to go there in the middle of the night. Right?
I guess you didn't hear about how wasn't it the employees that make these cards were picking off all the rares before they even went in the packs?
Oh, really?
There's a big scandal around that.
That makes a lot of sense. Tom, do you normally work in the South Minneapolis store or the White Bear store?
It varies.
Tom, sorry, you got to pull that mic closer to your face.
It varies,
Yeah.
kind of based on need. I go back and forth. I'm always at both of the stores every week. So, that being said, I'll echo a lot of the things we've talked about with Minneapolis. We're in a good spot. I think we're optimistic about the future and continuing in investing in our business there. Anecdotally, you try and buy a house in Minneapolis, you got 15 minutes.
Yep. Yeah, it's sold out quick.
Before it's gone. Yep. So there's some, I don't, know everything, but there's some dichotomy there of what's going on, if it's a hellscape or if it's a booming real estate market.
That's interesting that you say that because we talk about on the Weekly Scramble, right? The beer show became the Weekly Scramble, which is the sister podcast to Garage Logic. And Garage Logic, which is our mothership, you guys look at Minneapolis as going down, right? You see it as a Titanic. And
out of concern.
Out of concern.
Not as in, haha, we got you.
And I made the comment, like, if you just kept your ears shut, it would feel a lot like normal, right? Although you do hear a lot more helicopters flying around, you do hear more sirens and stuff. Well, but to Tom's point, I mean, houses are impossible to buy still. Almost.
Yeah, and I guess I should qualify that because Minneapolis is a big city too, right? And I think a lot of the consternation might come around downtown. The businesses aren't coming back, or employees aren't coming back, and therefore, all the surrounding businesses are struggling with that. You have North Minneapolis, you have South Minneapolis. I mean, it takes me 20 minutes to drive to another part of Minneapolis from my house in Minneapolis. So, there's neighborhoods and it's not, one thing. So there's a lot of different things you can sink your teeth into if you have an opinion or an angle that you want to shoot, and everyone can have an opinion.
I guess one of the things that I was going to point out, I wanted to look up the date specifically, but we were talking about this off the air, but I'm pretty busy with 2 kids and blah, 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 just like everybody else. So I was trying to think of the last time that my wife and I had a date night in general, but we actually went downtown, and I remember we wanted to go see Chris Stapleton, and he opened for George Strait at US Bank Stadium. And so she and I parked, and I thought, all right, let's go somewhere and grab a drink. Let's go to the concert, and then let's come back. And I kid you guys not, nothing was open. And this was Saturday night, November 13th of 2021, and literally nothing was open. You guys know where I park, the place that I used to bartend.
That was 2021? Well, that was COVID. That was
right, but I guess what I'm saying is that still was, but stuff had started to open by then. And I remember being stunned that...
In 21?
In 2021. Yeah, I'm looking at the concert calendar right now. And I remember being just stunned at the fact that and I don't know if it was merely a case of they couldn't find people to work, but I was just generally stunned that, wow, there's 60-some thousand people at that stadium right now. Everyone leaving that concert's going to want to go have a pop somewhere, I would think, because those were always huge moneymaker nights downtown Minneapolis when there was a big concert.
Especially a country show, because those people know how to do it.
Well, that's just it. And they're going to go give it hell for an hour and then be home by 1 o'clock or whatever. But I was literally stunned that night that nothing was open. But anyway, I digress. So,
well, they're already making arrangements. I think Metro Transit is
for Taylor Swift. Yeah. That will, you know what? That's funny you bring that up, but that will be a huge indicator of whether or not Minneapolis is back.
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean? Because that's 2 sold out shows on a Friday and Saturday night. You also have, what else is going on?
Who's taking Metro Transit with their 12 and 13-year-old daughters down to Taylor Swift?
I was asked this very thing by a listener.
Fly a helicopter
I
there.
know, but I was asked this very thing, and I said, here's the deal. The safest days to take that thing
when it's busy.
Is when it's going to be that packed, a Vikings game. That's literally the only time it is safe to take the light rail, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, is when it's totally mushed to the group.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. We used to actually look at, the fact that we aren't on a light rail stop on Hiawatha was always kind of a liability for us. We felt like we needed to move to an intersection where there was a light rail stop. And
now you're glad you did.
It's not, it's not any longer. In fact, I think it gives us some room from some of the crime that we see. So, I don't know how they're going to work that out. They are making accommodations though, huh? That's the plan.
Yeah, it was just announced this morning. Okay. Yeah, it was just announced this morning.
Reavers, can I do a little news story since we have some pros in the room?
Can I do one thing really quick before you do that?
It's your show. Why won't you do it?
Because I know, Bartley, that they are somewhat of a competitor of yours, but I do want to make mention of our friends at Harmony Spirits, who are a proud supporter of this particular podcast. You guys have them on your shelves at Elevated.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Made right here in Harmony, Minnesota. I know I get asked about them quite often. Really good guys. If you're down in the Harmony, Minnesota area, which I might be sometime soon here based upon what's going on in my life. So I'm suggesting stop in there. Their tasting room is fantastic. It's a beautiful, cool little tasting room. They got the GL flag flying outside of the building. And it's just a neat area. People often go down there, go camping. But go into your local liquor store if you don't happen to be going into Elevated. And please ask for the Harmony brand by name. Great people, handcrafted spirits, made right here in our own backyard. And also check out their active Twitter account for recipe updates and things like that are on their website as well. So we appreciate their support. Michael, take it away, please.
Since we have some professionals in the room, I just wanted to read this story, and
Wait, I know what he's going to bring up. And I'm going to write it down.
Reavers loves the story. We can't get enough of the story because we find it super fascinating. But a Minneapolis gay bar known as the Saloon, right, a very popular gay bar, drops Bud Light. It seems super, super shocking. I know when this whole kerfuffle was happening, I'm going to call it a multi-billion-dollar kerfuffle, I reached out to Ryan and said, hey, Ryan, tell me what's going on with Bud Light.
I forgot about this part.
I mean, can you tell us what's happening at your stores, the Bud Light? And I'm not saying you agree with it or disagree with it. Just tell me, the facts of what's going on with the brand.
Well, without exaggerating, there are no sales. I mean, we've probably dropped, in terms of the largest package we sell, which is 24 12-ounce cases. We sell a couple a week now. That's probably down from 30 to, at this time of year, it'd probably be closer to like 40 plus. So not good for Bud Light. I don't know if there's going to be a bounce back. You'd think you'd see some kind of pulse by now. It's been a couple months, I think. At least.
Did say to me a month ago, it's dead. Yeah. It's over.
Yeah,
you said Bud Light's over.
I think it's easy to, I guess, kind of use recency bias to extrapolate, but it just seems like that drinker is making a statement, and I feel like there is a certain stigma now associated with that brand that is going to be very difficult to unwind.
Well, I can tell you this, and I don't even know if this is an indicator or not, but it was the number one beer you would see at a town baseball game, right? Concessions and whatever. I have not seen a single can.
That's because it's Giesenbrau now.
What is it?
That? The Stadtbau? They got a Giesen. Do you know where they're...
They got to be New Prague with that last name.
Yeah, so they're looking to come into the market and for these small ball things, and they have a Stadtball light lager.
I'll have to check that out. That's cool.
It just came out. Look for that this week.
Raiders, do me a favor. I got you a small gift. Could you open that real quick on the air?
Okay.
Because I think
card first.
Don't do the card. Do the card for later. That's the card is real sentimental. I don't want you tearing up.
Aw.
But this 10th anniversary gift
You son
is, I thought, right up your alley.
And I felt bad because I didn't get you anything. He goes, "Shut up! You didn't need to get me anything."
And I don't know if this is that big a gift, but this has been a story that keeps on giving, this Bud Light story.
All right, I'm seeing a Bud Light case. Now I'm supposed to open the case?
It's not just a box. There's something in the box.
It is a Bud Light box, and I'm opening.
I know you needed one of these because, I mean, you got to.
Is this
that's a good box there.
And it is a Bud Light koozie combo pack with a Bud Light wallet.
Yes.
Wow. Mike, you are right. I did not know I needed this, but I'm going to utilize.
Because I think you
both
said to me,
of this.
"I'll never drink that beer again," but I would love a Bud Light wallet. So I said, "Sir, I will make that happen."
Well,
so I hope you enjoy that. Happy 10th anniversary.
Thank you very much. Happy 10th anniversary to you, too. And you're not wrong when I said I will never drink that beer again. And that's because I never drank the damn beer in the first place.
Yes.
So that's why. But thank you, Michael.
You're welcome.
You're
welcome.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. There was, we kind of grew up with an understanding that, for the light beer drinkers, they kind of get into their one, and that's the one, right? You kind of talk about these light beer, swill, whatever, all tasting the same, but they still seem to have some brand loyalty. I only drink Mick Golden or Coors or whatever, unless you can't. So interesting to see this, issue kind of jump that, tendency that we've
what
seen
does it
for a
move
long
to?
time.
What did the Bud Light drinker move to?
And that's funny too, because a lot of people are making the connection now. Modelo is the number one beer in the world, or whatever. It's the same company.
Sure.
So,
but it really doesn't even matter. It's the same company. They're just saying, "Don't do it." Well, we're not mad at your company. Just don't do it. I think that's what they're
not mad at the company.
I think they're just saying, that's not the marketing we like. Don't be insulting to us.
Sure.
And we're not trying to penalize you to go out of business, but we want to shake it up.
No, they definitely want them to go out of business.
You think so?
I guarantee you that no one on the planet except for a few knows that Modelo is owned by the same people. No one really goes into that detail like we do. We know the owners of Blue Moon. We know who are these beer consortiums that are out there. The general consumer does not care. Yeah. They know this brand and they want to know. They don't care who the upper end is.
Sorry, I thought, isn't Constellation Brands the owner of Modelo?
That's what I thought,
Well,
too.
I think it's depending on where, because I think in America, well, you were telling me this.
Well, we got a listener
certain
explain it to
rights
us, yeah.
of Modelo in different parts of the world are owned by AB.
Yeah, I could have been
yeah, but I think it's a little different. And the only reason, Bartley, you know all the brands is because you're calling them up saying, "Would you love to buy a great brand?" I got my whole brand for sale right now.
It'll be called Bent Light.
Bent Light.
We'll come up with a beer called Bent Light, and actually we'll just take one of our other beers and just pour a bunch of water in it.
Yeah. What if someone
it actually works?
What if someone did come out with a beer that's called not Bud Light?
I think it's still a trademark violation.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah,
Okay.
for it then.
Okay, gotcha.
But they could call it Butt Light, which would be all right. BUTT. That's not
Funny.
bad.
You're an ideas guy. See, guys, after all these years, he's still an ideas guy.
Still got it.
He's still an
and
ideas
those are free
guy.
ideas.
You mentioned marketing, Ryan. Did you guys touch on this in my absence to go get Tom from the front desk?
No, we have not.
Okay, so bring this up because this is pretty cool. You sent this text to me and Michael earlier today.
Yeah, so I talked a little bit earlier about how we're trying to position ourselves as a company that provides value now, especially after everything that everyone's gone through with COVID and inflation and everything else. So we've been running some really, really good sales, and we're doing them monthly. Just to kind of give you a sense of what kind of pricing we're doing, because some of these deals are worth driving to Elevated for, even if you don't live right by us. I mean, we're talking quote Total Wine type pricing on some of these things. Starting tomorrow, our July ad goes out, and some of the features on that, we've got Summit 12 packs at $13.99.
Oh wow!
I mean, you probably haven't seen that since pre-COVID.
No,
I would imagine.
No kidding.
Black Box $16.99, Tito's 1 liters $19.99. So that's just a few highlights. I just want to throw that out there for those that are looking for deals right now. If your local liquor store is not providing you with good value, take a little extra drive, come see us at an Elevated. And again, another location coming soon.
I want to ask the Mike Fredoloni question to both of you, but I want to start with Bartley. So Michael's been on this, and rightfully so. Michael has been on this for years about NA, right? The rise in NA. I can't remember. Do you guys do an NA beer at the tap room?
Beer, no. We have other things like kombucha, cold pressed coffee, sodas, juices. We have a variety of non-alcoholic cocktails that we can make.
The reason I guess I wanted to ask you about that is you must see some type of demand for it, because I'll never forget, we were talking to, was it Quam? We were talking to Quam. And Surly was about to unveil some multi-million-dollar NA product line. So I
thought they said they never would do, right? We'll never do an NA. We'll never do a seltzer.
And here we need to. Yeah. So I'm just generally curious about that prospect with both of you guys and what your thoughts are on that.
Well, I mean, my thoughts on it are we're going to replace alcohol with a different type of product. For
Which is smart.
Delta 9 THC. That's the road we're going down with non-alcoholics. Those are the type of things that you can get at our place if you like. Of course, we're also selling them all over the place. That is our answer to the NA question.
Okay, so
we see a lot of people that are drinking less.
Describe this to me a little bit. So I'm going in to buy a beer, and it has a couple milligrams of Delta 9 THC in it.
Correct.
And so can I still have 3 beers, or am I wasted? How does that work?
You know, it affects everybody differently. My advice is if you're new to THC, try it out by itself. Don't go whole hog and drink a bunch of beers and a bunch of THC. 5 milligrams is a good starting point.
Okay.
Wait 20 minutes, then take another 5 if you feel like it. If you don't.
Sure.
And just take it in 5 milligram increments. And this is a thing that is offered to us now that was never offered when I was a kid. You smoke flower. You have no idea what you're getting.
Sure.
It could be some ditchweed. It could be some Pineapple Express. It could be Afghan Kush. You don't know all the times how many milligrams you're getting. Now it's become science. Now it is measurable. You have 10 milligrams in this beverage or 5 milligrams or whatever it is, and you know how much you're getting. So you can experiment with it just like you do with alcohol. You know what a 10% ABV beer does to you. So now you know what a 10 milligram beverage does to you too. So go at it slow. Take it bit by bit. What I have found is that if you have had several beers and you have a THC beverage after that, you're going to want to look for a bed pretty quick.
Okay.
To me, it makes me pretty tired and makes me want to go to sleep. Yeah. So that is, again, not only advice, but warning. Don't mix these out and about until you know exactly where you're at and where you're going with them, because it is new. You know, keep it in the home. If you feel that's where you're safest, keep it in the home. And again, you cannot overdose on THC. You can get some funny feelings and feel kind of weird. You don't have to call 911. You'll sleep it off. You'll be okay. I promise you'll be okay. Find a safe spot, huddle up, and just relax. But yeah, this is the new NA, and with people being more responsible.
This with this in it.
Absolutely.
So
well, these are seltzers right now.
Okay, are you buying
We're doing
this?
seltzers.
How do you buy? Do you buy truckloads of THC? Is that?
Oh wow!
Does it come in 55-gallon drums? Is that something we can
actually
get?
buy it by the liter? It's very highly concentrated.
Really?
1 liter of this THC product that we buy will treat 630 gallons of
I just
beverage.
Need like a sip of that.
Yeah, you would.
Okay,
One, it tastes really crappy.
Okay, I wouldn't want to try it.
But yes, it's extremely potent, very strong. And again, we just blend it in. You blend it in the fermenter, and then you hook up your CO2 to force carbonate it, and add your flavorings that you're going to add, no matter what flavor it's going to be, and then you fill it in cans, just like our regular canning line.
Wow.
We've been doing the seltzers now for quite a while. Now we've branched into sodas. So we have a 20 milligram, which isn't legal anymore, by the way. Thank you, Minnesota State Legislature. Now 10 milligrams is the maximum you can put into a beverage. Well, we have a whole bunch of 20 milligrams that we made a couple months ago.
Sure.
That are going to be illegal starting July 1st.
Yeah.
So we are selling those out, actually blowout pricings in the tap room. So come by and pick some up. The new ones that we got coming out are 10 milligrams. So we got a soda, one that's a maple bacon donut soda, which I brought. It's got 10 milligrams in it, and it tastes like a maple bacon donut. It is phenomenal.
no
It's a great
alcohol in
soda.
it.
Zero alcohol. That's crosses the federal lines of mixing alcohol and THC. At the moment, there are people that have said they've done it. I don't know.
Oh, I thought
We'll
they
find
had
out.
I thought you guys were selling at Elevated. I thought you were selling beer with THC. in it.
No alcohol in these.
Oh, I
just the
did not know
THC.
that. Okay, so because I was actually at a bar and I saw that and I thought, oh, you can buy a beer with THC in it. I'm not a THC
I
user.
think some places might be mixing. I don't know.
I mean,
That also
I think this
isn't-
was. I
the
was
new
probably
laws
just
also
wrong.
prohibit that mixing in a bar or anything like that. So again,
But,
if you
you know,
want to do it at home, do whatever you want.
Well, yeah. I mean, you order a shot and you order a THC drink.
It's the same thing.
Turn
Yeah,
around
right.
and who knows what
So,
happened there.
what are the new laws for those of us that kind of know what's going on, but really have no idea what's
And
going
you're
on?
never going to try these, and I'm never going to try these.
No,
I'm way too afraid.
I probably won't, just because I'm an old man. But I'm just curious, what are the limitations is from a retailer and from a tap room? Like, what can you do? What aren't you allowed to do? And what do you not really know yet?
Well, there's a whole lot that we don't know yet, but it's all outlined in the new bill. You mentioned lawyers.
I don't wanna read it,
takes
so just
lawyers
tell me.
to interpret all that stuff.
I gotcha.
So I only know the small amount that particularly pertains to me immediately. And that is, again, the limits that we have on how much we can put in per package, all the government warnings that have to be on the package, as well as the statements and the things you can and cannot say. So that's the conciseness of that side is pretty easy, but you get into the whole dispensary side and you get a lot of complications. And again, lawyers are the ones making out like bandits right now because they're the ones being paid to interpret all this stuff. And a lot of them have experience from doing it in other states because this is similar to what has happened in many other states with a few caveats.
And what about for you guys, Ryan?
Well, for us, we're limited to the 10 milligrams, as Bartley Bloom has already outlined. We don't have much beyond that right now. And, the 10 milligrams is because it's a tall boy can, it's 2 servings. So technically it's 5 milligrams per serving. But, we have anywhere from 2 to 10 then. We have, I want to say, well over 100 SKUs by this point. So we've probably got 30, 40 brands and over 100 SKUs of these. And there's a lot of, different ways that they're making them, from soda to juice to seltzers. Mixing CBD, things like that. So there's a lot to know, and we have a good staff that can support these products and teach you a lot about them. And what's nice now is that these were not available in liquor stores for the first basically year of them being legal in the state. We were the one entity that could not sell them. Basically anyone else could, which was pretty bizarre. But we're finally at a point now where we're legally allowed to sell them as well. And I think what you're going to realize, if you've been going to one of these smaller pop-up shops, you'll notice that, the prices are going to be considerably less when you come to the liquor store now, especially at Elevated, because I don't blame some of these smaller, mom and pops, these overnight, I call them THC drink stands that had popped up over the last year. They were taking really big margins because they kind of had a little bit of, I don't know, monopoly of sorts, because we couldn't participate. But now that we are participating, prices are much better. For example, I brought Modest with me here today. This is our most popular THC drink so far. It's called Melt, 10 milligrams. You probably see that at most, THC and CBD stores for, I don't know, probably $30, $35 for a 4-pack. We're $19.99 this month.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay.
Come check if you want a great selection, you want great pricing on these THC drinks. Come to Elevated. It's worth your time. You're going to find a great deal.
So the price point is, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Mike. The price point is much higher than beer.
Well, $5 a beer at
Yeah,
Elevated is not bad.
No,
but he said at other stores.
At other
it's
stores,
35.
They've been taking some pretty. They're marking up 100% on these things. They've been doing really well with them. But again, now that it's been more commoditized, it's available in liquor stores. You're going to see those prices drop.
Is it 1% of your business? 3%? Is it? I mean, what do you think it's going to be?
Great question. In Minneapolis, I would say it's already it's been a month.
Yeah.
I would say it already probably accounts for about 5%.
Oh, wow.
Of our business. And it's growing very quickly. I mean, we're seeing those weekly numbers, going up by, 15, 20% week over week.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Holy cow. So
that's what we need to do, is change the weekly scramble from the beer show to the weekly scramble to the Delta 9 THC drink show.
Right? Yeah.
And we'll be on the cusp of greatness.
Yeah.
The hemp-derived low-dose Delta 9
Multiple
THC
servings per
shot.
can, which is confusing, right? Because I remember I got pulled over that one time and he said, how many beers did you have? And I said, by serving or by can?
Right, because there's a big difference, officer. Well, that's interesting.
There's a lot of breweries that are doing really well with these, though, and I won't name any names, but I've talked to some brewers that are, it accounts for 30+% of their business right now out of the tap room.
Wow.
So they've done really well with it. And it's great to see because the breweries are really kind of getting an additional boost here.
Is the main buyer of this product, now you got me really curious, is the main buyer of this product a 25-year-old, or is it, does it span? I mean, are there people that are my age that are, hey, I want to try this? I mean, what are you seeing with that?
We're seeing, and Tom, maybe you want to talk to this point a little bit. But.
Yeah, we that was a big eye opener, Chris. We thought that might be the stoner, coming to get legal weed kind of thing, but we found that the market is much broader and a lot older. A lot of people that haven't had experience are finding this way to be a preferable way to get into THC for pain relief, relaxation, what have you. So older women. It's a big,
wow.
Yeah, just kind of surprised, but they're finding this is, again, a comfortable way. These people don't have a dealer, to get a bag of weed or whatever, and they weren't going to the dispensary or a vape shop or things like that where they felt like uncomfortable, out of sorts. Now they can go in to their salon or their liquor store or whatever with all these places having this, and it's not smoking, negative connotation.
You're not coughing,
there.
you're not
smelling.
Yep.
And you have all these different flavors, and one of the breakthroughs that they've kind of seen with this, with the additive that they use, the extract, if you will, is making it more available for processing in your body. Water soluble, I think is the word.
Exactly. They use the nanotechnology and microemulsification to make it so it's small enough that it will stay stable in water because it is an oil-based product, and then it gets into your system easier.
Right, and so that helps you kind of gauge as more of like a beer kind of experience, more of a social experience. You have one, you kind of drinking through it, you're starting to feel it. It's not so much as a hit you in the face, oh, now I'm high or whatever, I'm stoned.
It's not overnight or instantaneous.
So there's a little bit more gradualness to that, which I think is really appealing to people that, don't have that experience. So yeah, Chris. I mean, I think you might actually end up finding something that you like. We can help you with that.
Well, I was going to say I may or may not be married to someone that suffers chronic migraines that might have had an interest in that. That's why I may
send you home with an extra can then.
Nice.
I mean, it's a soda. Can I drink this soda?
But you still...
I mean, I don't want to be high. Obviously, it's dangerous, right?
You still are subject to the laws of impaired driving.
Okay.
So yes and no.
Okay, so
you can drink. You can drive after having one beer too, and you can. So,
but can I drink it while I'm driving?
Yes. Again, there's no law against open container for THC like there is for beer and alcohol.
Yeah, that's
but
weird.
Again, it's up to you. Recommend not doing it just because it does slow down your reflexes.
Yeah,
just like beer does.
Yeah, I won't do it anyways.
So
I just
it's just not a good idea.
Reavers, another thing. Could you put this down on a pad for?
Got it.
Because I'm making a prediction.
Okay.
It's going to be grape soda microdose LSD coming out next. You think I'm joking? I guarantee you that's what
Actually,
will happen.
psilocybin is creeping into the market now too, which is the active ingredient in magic mushrooms.
Yep. I 100% think it will happen within 2 years.
So that is coming out as well. But yeah, I've seen similar things with the clientele. It's everywhere. It's everywhere from 21 to over 80. I sent my dad home with a bunch because he had one of these full spectrum THC gummies that we had at the store, and he loved it. He goes, his back pain went away. He was actually able to sleep, and it was magic. So again, yes, it's the older people too, and the younger people who are drinking less beer. Because again, beer is a little bit more imperative on your motor functions than THC. So a lot of people are going away from beer and going into the THC world as an alternative.
And no hangovers. Yeah.
But
so
really? Totally paranoid and you freak out. That's why I can't do it.
And you wake up clear as a bell.
Clear as a bell, but you're in the corner of your bedroom wrapped around a blanket scared. That's just me. Maybe.
It doesn't always work that way.
All right.
It shouldn't work that way.
Okay.
And one of the interesting things that they're starting to see more and more is kind of, it borrows from kind of craft, quote unquote, flower, marijuana, or whatever, cannabis, is terpenes. You've heard of like the sativa indica kind of difference there. CBD, full spectrum, Bartley mentioned. There's a lot of interesting things happening as far as like pairing those and new isolates, THC, what was it, N, did we hear about? There's some different formulations, and what they're trying to do is put those into a beverage that's specific more for rest, or for relaxation, or pain relief, or maybe more euphoria and upbeat stuff that would typically trigger someone's anxiety if that's not what they're looking for. So I'm excited to see where that goes, where you can get some more specific and interesting targets from some of these beer or beverages again, and again, hopefully that makes people's first experience that much better, more comfortable for everyone.
Well, things are going to change here in the next 15 months.
That's where I was going to go next, because I'm just curious, what other trends are you guys all seeing right now that we might not be all that familiar with, just in terms of the industry in general?
Well, I mean, before we get away from NA, I mean, we do still see a ton of NA beer. That kind of continued.
Because, Tom, I'll say this. I get asked about NA products, even because a lot of people that listen to GL know about us doing this show on AM 1500, and they say, any ideas for what I can get my father-in-law? He likes craft beer, but, or whatever. So I get asked about, especially locally sourced NA all the freaking time.
Yeah, we have a great selection of NA beers. They're now in like 12 packs, a little bit more affordable, economies of scale. All the different flavor profiles. It's not just the old Coors Cutter and
Heineken Zero.
Yeah, well, I mean,
is that your number one?
That's a newer one, but across the board, stouts, IPAs, sours, you can get in the NA format. And then we see we have spirits and wine. I mean, that's not necessarily a new thing. Spirits is a little newer.
Wait. NA spirits?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, okay.
I'm gonna have a drink of some right now.
Yeah, and NA spirit. So have you guys ever heard of the term California sober?
Yes.
Okay, that's where you don't drink, but you do smoke weed. So I wonder if there's any NA beer brand out there that will say, "Oh, this is NA beer, but it has THC in it."
It's interesting.
To catch
I've seen it just in my social circles. I didn't know that was a term, California sober.
A lot of people are doing that.
I'm seeing that.
Yeah,
and
people not drinking anymore, but
yeah. And I don't know. I don't know what my take is on that. It's just it seems like a little bit of a, I don't know.
Yeah, you're like, you're kind of cheating. You're still getting high.
Exactly, yeah.
But you don't have a beer belly, so hey,
right.
congratulations.
Good for you.
Yeah.
No, they call that a Cheetos belly.
Is that
Yeah,
Cheetos
you got a
belly?
Cheetos belly when you're just high all the time. You got the munchies.
The
you know,
Doritos
you're
chips belly.
Doritos and Cheetos belly.
I also had never heard of that term before, Michael. California sober.
Yeah,
Oh.
I think that's a thing.
I wonder where it originated.
I don't know.
All right. Boy, it's weird. I don't know where else to take the conversation. And I've never said that with all of you guys in the same room before. But no, this is cool. I like getting the perspective of so many different things, whether it's the industry as a whole, whether it's the business model of it, and how we all love the city. Mike, you have 22 stores to deal with. You don't want something bad to happen, right? You don't want.
No.
You want the city to rebound. You guys want the city to rebound. Bartley, that's the part that I guess for me, I always get hung up on, and that's when I see laws being passed, and I'm thinking, don't you give a damn about the people that are the basic backbone of your society? That's the part that really pisses me off. And yes, I use that word that I shouldn't have on this show. So I don't know. That's why my mindset always kinds to shift in that way at times. So
You listen to a lot of media, Reverse. You focus on media.
I
If
do.
you get rid of that and just sit on your deck for a while, read a good book.
When I
Kiss your wife.
I'm sure things are
Look at
pretty
your
calm in
kids.
Jordan, aren't they?
they're lovely.
They gotta
Yeah.
be, right?
Absolutely lovely.
You're not
I
having
mean,
riots in Jordan.
I don't know, but Frank he left his garage door open the other day. It got pretty wild.
Oh, he got pretty pissed off about that.
Yeah, he had a boat parked in his yard for a month. It was a nice boat, but it was a boat. Yeah.
But we got tons of surrounding areas that are beautiful. Roseville specifically, we're 10 minutes from either downtown.
Yeah.
So you can touch downtown without living in downtown, and there's nothing wrong with living in it. But I really enjoy the proximity without being immersed in it. I have a parking lot. I don't have to pay for parking, and things like that.
You know what? That was our
it's
emphasis
phenomenal.
with you.
was a huge deal.
You were one of the first ones that's that close to the city that, I can just go there and I don't have to pay $10 an hour to park my car.
Right.
All right, cool.
And we can do big events in our parking lot and just have great parties, which we do have one coming up.
Tell me about it.
Well, it is a barbecue competition.
Ooh. I've been part of that before.
Fred's been part of it in the past.
Reavers has been. You've been a judge of that.
I
multiple
was there
times.
last year.
You
Were
were
we
a
there
judge?
last year?
You were a
2 years
judge,
ago.
and you were there last year as a MC.
Thank you.
I'd like to invite you again this year as an MC if you can.
Got to be tough. As I've mentioned a couple times, I got 2 kids playing travel ball, so you got to clear it with the boss.
It's September 9th. I'll call.
Oh, it's not till September.
September
Oh, then
9th.
I should be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, then I should be okay.
And
That's a
definitely
big
would love
event.
to get
That's a fun
Brad
event.
involved again, too. If you can, we can talk off the air.
Plus, it's fun.
And chat, because it is
It's
a
fun.
huge. This is the premier Kansas City Barbecue Society official barbecue competition in the Twin Cities.
Have you guys attended this before?
I have not.
It's crazy.
We have
special.
30 of Minnesota's best teams, and about half of those are on the national list for Team of the Year for Kansas City Barbecue Society, big yearly trophy thing. So we're very blessed to have some of the best barbecuers in this region here.
And here's the one thing that always just stuck with me. I kept thinking to myself, how am I supposed to tell this guy that his stuff isn't as good as that guy's when this stuff is amazing?
But so what stuck with me
It's
is very
always
seldom.
different varieties of amazing.
Right.
Very seldom do I do this, but I think you were too cheap. Because I think the tickets were so inexpensive.
They were. We were doing it a buck a bone.
Yeah, $1 a bone. I'm like,
That's
I
way
went
too
and bought
cheap.
like 20 tickets because I'm like, $20. I'm like, oh wait, I'm getting 20 ribs.
You can't eat 20
I'm like,
ribs normally.
this is way too
Right.
cheap. I remember that.
Oh,
I think I
yeah.
was with you, Reavers. I'm like, that can't be right.
Yep.
This is like a $3 rib, and I don't know what the right price is.
You're right.
But a couple bucks is probably the right price for
It
a rib.
is,
Yeah.
absolutely. But it's all for fundraiser for Invisible Wounds Project. So all of that money,
then for sure
100%
it'd
of
be
that
more
money
than that.
goes to
Yeah.
them, and we wanted it to be a success.
Yes.
This year, I think we are going to have it at $1.50 or $2.
$2. It's
or
all
something
going
like
to
that.
charity.
But
Who
it
cares?
is. It's all going
Yeah.
to charity.
Yeah.
And we got great sponsors that are going to help us out with the event. Again, 30 of the best teams. It's going to be People's Choice ribs and People's Choice sides.
Yeah.
So side dishes too. All the barbecutioners are going to be making side dishes. And yeah, it's
There
just
was
gonna be
somebody that made something with baked beans in it last year.
Right.
And I don't remember who it was, but holy crap, was that amazing.
Yep.
I asked,
you get some baked beans, you get some mac and cheese, smoked mac and cheese.
It was
you get
good.
people making some phenomenal things.
What defines Kansas City? Like a
It's a
Kansas
style,
City,
isn't it?
Kansas City Barbecue Society. Well, Kansas City, the competition is a Kansas City Barbecue Society competition, which is the national. Actually, it's the worldwide.
By rules. They have the rules.
It's the worldwide. I don't know, NASCAR.
So it's not specific to like you have to do it Kansas City style.
No.
They're just the
not the
governing
style
body.
at all. They're the governing body, and it's a lot like NASCAR. If you go to an event, you win points. Everyone gets some points. Even if you place 30th, you get a couple of points. So you win by showing up at all of them and placing highly in all of them. You don't have to win all of them, but if you're consistently in the winner's circle, you're going to end up with the most points at the end of the year, and that's who's crowned the champion. So it's sort of like that. So you do backyard competitions, which is chicken and ribs, and then you got Masters Series, which is chicken, ribs, pulled pork, and brisket.
So that's what you do.
Yes, I am actually a certified barbecue judge. I travel around Minnesota and Wisconsin area, sometimes Iowa, and I judge barbecue.
Yeah.
It's a great hobby. I just wanted free food. That's all. I mean, it's
pretty
really
much,
all it's all about.
But there are people that take it judges. That
Everyone
take
took it seriously.
except for me. And I thought not that I was goofing around, but I thought
But it was
I'm
always. Chris, please be quiet.
Right.
Yeah, he was trying to talk to me, and they're like, "Sir,
You can't talk to.
Be quiet during judging.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I have no idea what I'm doing.
This one tastes like meat, but so did the other meat one."
Well, that's cool. I'm glad you guys are doing that again this
So
year.
September 9th. Yeah, put it on your calendar.
And-
Again,
by the way,
we'll be promoting it sometime
If I go
soon.
onto Google Maps, is that now corrected? Does it not put
Yes.
us in the middle of Lake Josephine or
We're
whatever?
not in the lake anymore.
Yay! It
Yes,
only took
right.
9 years.
Progress.
Yeah, we've done it.
With
Technology.
progress. Yeah, but just don't try and get an Uber to find you. They still can't find us.
still can't do it.
Uber cannot find us. I don't know
That's
what it is.
problematic.
It is.
Because you would
Yeah.
think that people at your place would want an Uber.
Yes.
Every once in a while.
Yes. They
Just call Frank or whatever.
We end up doing that for them.
All right, I know you had a hard out at 3:30. Is there anything else we need to know about Bartley, Bloom,
Are
and
we
Bent
still doing
Brewstillery?
phrasing? I got a hard out at 3:30.
See, I thought we'd get through a whole
we
show.
almost made the whole show.
We almost made it all the way through.
Thank you, Harmony Spears.
I'm
yes,
trying to be
sponsoring this.
respectful of your time and schedule.
So one more thing, yes, I would like to say I haven't dominated already anyway, but our THC seltzers, because we have some that aren't in compliance, I'll use that word because that's the word they use, and I say they because they are the governing body. They're not in compliance. They are 20 milligram cans as opposed to 10 milligram cans, so we have to get rid of them by July 1st. So if you come into our tap room and you say you heard it on the Weekly Scramble / Beer Show Anniversary Edition, you'll get a 4-pack for $20.
Wow.
And these are 20 milligram.
So you only need one of those for the day.
Yes. Yes. But your price per milligram is tiny.
Wow. Okay,
I mean,
that's
we
very
used
cool.
to sell these for
That was
$50.
my nickname in high school.
Tiny?
Price per milligram. And tiny. But yes.
So, yes, the 20 milligram ones, I mean, it's what, 80 milligrams in a 4-pack. So you're looking at what, 20 cents a milligram.
That's a really good deal.
That you can't find that anymore. It used to be 10 cents a milligram average now, or it used to be $1. Now it's closer to 50 cents a milligram, and now it is creeping down. And again, to Ryan and Tom's point, where it is more of a commodity, we've been selling it to smoke shops who give it 100% markup, and you can sell it to a liquor store who will give it a 35% markup, just like they would a beer. You know, and that's where we should be. You know, and that's where I'm hoping that this leads the way is the liquor stores in selling these products.
Okay.
So, but yep, come in, say the beer show sent you.
Nice. Very
Get
cool.
one of these 4-packs for $20.
Thank you, Bartley. Great
You're
to see
welcome.
you.
Cheers.
Ryan and Tom, anything else we need to know about
Do
you
we have
guys?
time for a quick beer show trivia question?
Oh, yeah.
Duh.
All right, this one's for Mike.
Oh, no.
This was the first episode of the beer show. Mike shows up, and he's got a product with him to talk about on the air.
I know.
Do you know
I do.
the name of the product?
I'm going to think it was like a Big Daddy grill scraper or something
Nope.
like
Wrong.
that.
Nope. I know what it was.
What was it?
It was, and I don't know the name of it. So am I gonna? Am I gonna
okay.
get docked points?
Wasn't it Pokemon cards?
I think it was a beer chiller. It was a frozen. It was
yes.
almost a metal
chillsicle,
stick. what was the
You're
name of
close.
it?
You're close.
But you
Get it
put
right.
it in a regular bottle of beer,
Yes.
and it cooled it.
Chillsicle. Why can't I remember that?
Pilsner.
Chilsner.
Is that what it was called?
You sold them in your stores.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we
Yeah.
still probably have some of those on closeout. Those didn't sell very well, so they're probably super cheap.
After you go to Bartley's and
Yes.
get your 20 gram
Yes, I
THC.
remember that. That was
Stop
funny.
by.
That was when
Yeah.
we still bought beers in bottles. I mean, that's how antiquated was that?
Yeah, we showed up. It's 2013. We're in the midst of like the IPA craze, and we're like, who is this guy with
with a
Pilsner? What is that?
and the genesis of the show is they said, "Do you want to come on? Like, are you a barbecue expert?" And I'm like, "No." Well, do you know anything about beer? Not really. Well, come on. Do you like to advertise on 1500? Sure. So,
Do you want to be with Reavers? I guess.
I guess. So that kind of started on. I didn't really have any skill sets whatsoever to be on that show.
Oh my God, Ryan! I never would have remembered that, but as soon as you said, I'm like, oh my God, I remember exactly what
That
it was.
was good, Reavers.
Because I remember bringing it home. I remember because it said the instructions said put it in your freezer for 24 hours.
Yeah.
So there were two of them, and they were being held together by a plastic piece that sat on the top of the packaging.
Yeah.
So you put the whole thing in there because there was air that could get through, and it froze. You had to keep it in there for 24 hours where it would freeze. And then I remember putting it into a bottle of Summit or whatever the hell I had in my fridge, and I'm thinking, I look like a total dork drinking
Plus,
out of
you're going
this.
to drink that beer in 19 seconds.
It's
so
not.
what does it matter?
There's no chance this beer's going to get warm. Yeah, right. So I remember using it, and my wife said, "What in the hell are you doing?" I said, it was a gift for Mike. I got to use it. Right.
Well, good call. That was good. Did you go back? Did you remember that, or did you go back and listen to the?
Well, it was his first impression of you.
My first impression. And I, actually, if you have any left on Blowout, I want a signed package.
Oh yes, I'll try to find some of those.
An anniversary gift to the listener.
Yes.
An autographed Chilsner from Mike Fratelloni.
That would be great. I do. I mean, the show was different back then, right?
Oh,
first of all, we had the green room, where the green room was attached, and we, every time some brewer would bring 80 beers for 4 guys for an hour. I'm like, that seems like too many
I couldn't
beers.
drink.
And Rivers wasn't one of them drinking. Yeah, it was, I'm really impressed by you, because I would say that you're a beer drinker, or were in the past a beer drinker, and you never ever drank.
I like being employed.
Yep,
I like being employed.
That was I was a volunteer, so I could drink, but I have to know my limits. So
I'll share my quick favorite one. This was at the height of, in fact, I think we were doing 2 hours at the time, because this was the part where, you'll have to remind me, because I know he had a location by the pizza guy that we had on for, I think it was that summer. He did a buy during that summer, and he would bring.
Was it Pizza Luce?
No, it wasn't Pizza Luce. Shoot, I wish I would have remembered his name, but no, it was Green Mill.
Green Mill
came in,
yeah.
and so he would come in. He would bring 4 or 5 pies, which was fantastic, and then you guys came on, and Bartley would bring 16 gallons of beer with him, and I remember
maybe some liquor, but as long as no one knows.
I remember it was obviously a Thursday night when we used to do the show every Thursday night, so the show was on from 7 to 9. And then I thought, okay, I didn't have anything going. In fact, I might have even had the next day off. So I thought, I'll hang out with the guys for a little bit. And then I remember thinking, oh my God, it's 10:30 and we're still sitting at work. Or I'm still sitting at work, and there's crap everywhere. So we couldn't leave because we had to clean up. And I thought, we're cleaning this up because I'm not going to get yelled at in the morning by the people that work at the office.
All the execs that would stay late that day.
Oh, it was hilarious.
Like, come on, what are you guys trying in there? It's
like,
honey, I was at work till real late. And they all came in.
Yeah. What about when Omar Ansari showed up? It was like
it was our first day. Wasn't it one of our first shows?
Yeah, that was pretty cool when he came in. That was a big deal. The owner of Surly, the owner of Surly came in, and it was like, people were saying, "Will you sign my boob?" I mean, it was a big deal, right? I asked him.
Did you get
that was a little weird.
Did he sign your boob?
You can still see it if you look real close.
That was the day Joe Elton walked out. He's had enough.
He was there. Yeah,
but thanks to you guys, we did get a chance to meet a lot of these people over the course of time, because you had the foresight to invite a lot of these independent brewers. In fact, that's probably how we met Bartley, was through you guys.
It was, because we did a sampling, and they said, "You want to be on the beer show with us?"
Oh, so it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
because they were one of the first stores that we ever dropped off.
Really?
In our young career was at Elevated.
How many times were you told no?
None.
Really?
Oh,
not by these guys, just in general. From liquor
Since
stores.
then or back then?
Before
back
you really.
then, never. Everyone said
Really?
yes. Everyone wanted the new thing. Everyone wanted pallets and pallets and pallets. It was like, well, we can give you 2 cases.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's it. But things have definitely changed since then. But we were part of the OGs. We were the 20th brewery to start in Minnesota. Now there's 220.
What year was that? Was that 13 or 14?
14. 13 is when we started got our beer on the market. 14 is when our tap room opened.
Yeah.
Because I always go back to Omar when he was trying to get his product indoors and he was laughed at. And I'm thinking, my God, what if he had given up? You know what I mean? Like, which a lot of people might have back then, because it was so new, so revolutionary at the time, that what if you would have said, well, screw it. But I guess you probably can't, because you've invested so much into it to get it off the ground that you can't really afford to say, I'm done.
You can't give
favorite
up,
guest,
right?
Reavers, I'm going to ask you I know who it is, who your favorite guest, favorite everyday, oftentimes guests. I know who it is.
Favorite? Well, aside from the people in this room?
Besides these guys, because we know that there are favorites.
Well,
but there was one very special man.
Well, it'd have to be Quam.
Nope.
Pre-Quam.
I know who you're talking about.
Anybody.
This is a State Fair guy. Isn't
Nope.
it?
Nope. It's even better than that.
Oh my!
It was a gentleman who he and his brewery were with us for a while, right? Was it a year, maybe 2?
No, a few years at least.
Because we, in fact, I believe that this would have been our first on-location broadcast. Was at this gentleman's
and we had
tap room.
travel for it.
So we drove up to beautiful Cold Spring, Minnesota.
Oh, yeah.
As the show, Bartley, you were
I was
with
there.
us.
Yeah.
And so
we're there too.
Yeah.
Our good buddy Doug DeGeest, who I do not know if he's still with Third Street Brew House anymore. But Doug would come on the show, and Doug had a list of talking points that he wanted to get to in his 15-minute segment that he was going to be on the show. And we realized about a month into it that Doug brought the same sheet every week with him, and he wanted to talk about the same thing over and over again because that's what his marketing strategy was.
I remember I threw him for a loop one time. Like he said, and then we have a beer that has this. And then I said, do you think you'd ever make a beer with chocolate in it? Number 7. I was like, oh, yeah. It was the best. But that trip that we had up to Cold Springs.
Do you remember the hotel we stayed at?
I say the hotel. Yeah, beautiful hotel. A great time, right?
Oh, I had a blast.
But we were sitting with our salesman, Greg Sellers, the one and only Greg Sellers,
who's no longer with the company.
He's still with us alive. Fantastic guy. Actually,
barely.
Wonderful guy. Yeah. Although I got really mad at him. I'll share the story off of the. I mean, I'm never going to get mad at Greg because I love him, but I got super mad at him the other day, and I'll tell you in a little bit. But he was sitting at the bar with us, and he turns to me and he like smiles and falls perfectly backwards off of his stool because he thought his stool had a backrest. Yeah. And his head misses a 4-inch steel pipe sticking out of the ground,
holding the table.
No, it was just a pipe that was like an old radiator pipe that was capped off.
I thought it was part of the table.
Like 6 feet behind him, and his head misses this pipe by like 3 inches. And I thought, oh, that's him dying right there. He would have 100% died.
Yes.
There's no way he would have lived through that. And he gets up and he's and I was like, oh my God, he has no idea that he just tempted fate.
Yep.
So then I had to put my hand on his back like he was my girlfriend for the rest of the night. Like, don't fall backwards. Don't fall backwards.
And that's the same night, I believe, that we discovered the girl who was having problems.
Oh, I got to tell this story. We're at a bar, and
we're not at 3rd Street Brew House.
No, we went to the bar.
The 4
afterwards.
of
all
us.
of us were there. Right?
Bartley, you had to head back.
I headed back.
Yeah, so you were there for the show, but you didn't stay the night. So the 4 of us said, you know what? We're in Cold Spring. We all have rooms.
Yeah, we're all close. We can see our hotel.
We can walk back to our hotel. So let's have some fun tonight, right?
So we're in this little bar, and there's a couple of gals and some guys in there. We're having a lot of fun. And Reavers just goes and just slowly talks to this gal, and he's not being disrespectful. He's married. He's not hitting on her. He's just talking to her. And the girl said something like, hey, I'm sorry, Chris. I really I'm having some family problems, so I just need to have a moment alone. And so Chris, out of his infinite wisdom, says, attention, everyone in the bar, everyone. Jenny's having some family problems, so please do not talk to her. I looked at you and I was like, Reavers, stop. What are you doing? The girl's just like, I just didn't want to talk to a drunk guy. That's all I didn't want to do. And you're like, attention, everyone. Please put down your beers for an important message. God, that was funny.
Yeah.
That was classic.
I was in perfect entertain the masses mode.
Yes,
at that
you were.
particular moment.
Well
so,
done.
God. Anyway.
Yeah. Cold Spring, Minnesota. I don't think Tom and I made it back for the open that next day. We opened it a little late.
It was sketchy. Well, yeah, and at that time, we're out doing beer shows and then opening the store. We didn't have any employees.
Oh, yeah, you had to go open. You still had to work the next morning? Yeah. Yeah, we were out pretty late that night. Well done, boys.
Well,
Congratulations.
you know what? In all honesty, you guys have been along for a big part of this ride. You know, Elevated, you guys were with us from day one. So, honest to God, thank you guys for the ride. It's been so much fun. And I truly, Mike brought this up a few months ago and said, hey, what are we going to do for our 10-year anniversary? I said, what the F are you talking? Oh, my God, he's right. Because I remember when we started doing the show, my son wasn't quite, he had just turned 1 year old. And, now he's 11 years old.
10 years ago.
And now he's 11 playing travel baseball. It's crazy. Time flies. But thanks for being along for the ride, gentlemen. Yeah. I appreciate it truly.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
All right.
Cheers,
so,
guys.
hey, Michael, thank you, sir.
Reavers, you're the best.
Please do us a favor. Rate and review the show wherever you happen to be listening to the Weekly Scramble. I would appreciate it greatly. For Mike Fredoloni, my name is Chris Reavers. We'll do this again next week. Until then, everybody, cheers. All right, here we go. Tomorrow is the first day of summer, and guys, it's time to get in shape and stay in shape. And our sponsor, Nugenix Total T, is offering a complimentary bottle when you text 231-231 and enter the keyword garage. You remember back when winning really felt easy? Well, that's because when you were younger, you were at the peak of your testosterone production, what some have called the winner's hormone or the man hormone. Wouldn't it be nice to get that winner's edge again and that old swagger back in your step? Well, if you want more energy to counter the negative physical effects of aging, Nugenix Total T testosterone testosterone booster with Testofen is going to help you turn back the clock, re-energize your workouts, and get you better results at the gym and help you look and feel like the man that you really want to be. Nugenix Total T contains man-boosting key ingredients like Testofen. It has been validated in 5 clinical studies shown to boost free testosterone levels in men. Nugenix Total T is also the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Now, get a complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T when you text 231-231 and enter the keyword garage. Text right now and get a bottle of Nugenix Thermal, their most powerful fat incinerator ever with key ingredients to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text 231-231 and enter the keyword garage. Text 231-231 and enter the keyword garage. Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.